Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So hi, welcome everybody on this beautiful Wednesday to our next webinar in the Summer of Automation series, Reporting That Drives Results, Leveraging SEI for Data-Driven Business Decisions with Nectari. My name is Sophia Pascuzzo. I'm the Customer Marketing Associate here at RKLE Solutions, and I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we get started. So all mics are turned off for this webinar. So if you have a question, please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. I will be monitoring the Q&A throughout the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and available afterwards along with the slides. So be on the lookout for that email with the information in the next couple of days. Today, I'm joined by Olivia Brown, Director of Business Development in North America for Nectari. And she's also the author of the Sage Enterprise Intelligence Solution. We also have Jasdeep Bhogal, a pre-sales engineer at Nectari. So welcome, and I'll hand it over to you all to get started.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sophia. And just a correction there, I'm not personally the author of Sage Enterprise Intelligence, but we do work for Nectari Business Software. We're the author of Sage Enterprise Intelligence, also known as Nectari. So just want to thank everybody today for joining us. I want to make sure we can still see the screen. We're all good. So again, Sophia introduced us. That's who we are. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to presenting, some of the reasons, some of the intriguing reasons you might be considering a new business intelligence software. And we'll dive right in because we do have quite a big agenda. I'm going to jump right to the start. So we're going to be talking about the BI market trends a little bit, some of the challenges you might be having in your organization today in terms of data analysis and reporting. Then we'll hone in on SEI and a little bit more about who we are and what we do, of course. Jasdeep will present a quick product demonstration, and then we'll leave a bit of time for questions at the end. So again, like Sophia said, if anybody has any questions throughout the presentation, don't hesitate to type them into chat, or maybe we'll open the floor a little bit later on. So talking about some of the BI market trends in terms of organizations like yourselves really realizing the importance over the last few years, especially, of reporting tools that will enable organizations like yourself to access information in a timely fashion in order to make decisions and share that information. So we've all lived through the last 3-4 years, potentially. Things have shifted in terms of how we work. Some of us are working from home. We also realize that it's very important to be able to make certain predictions and decisions based on actual information, as opposed to, simply a guessing game. So I think if, the last few years, and I hate to mention the word COVID has taught us anything, it's that we need to be prepared, and we really need to have the ability to gain that insight into the information that we do have and use that to our advantage, especially as companies like yourselves grow and become more and more efficient and profitable. There are limitations, as we may or may not know, in the ERP software themselves when it comes to the data analysis and reporting side. So the ERP does provide a really kind of entry-level way of pulling certain reports, but it's not as flexible and dynamic and user-friendly as perhaps you would hope for in kind of a reporting solution, right? And again, we're trying to mitigate those risks with a BI solution, of not making decisions based on information that's either inaccurate or that we don't have in time. So it's super important as organizations, again, like yourselves, continue to grow, that you're agile and you can kind of adjust and shift to different, market opportunities or improve your weaknesses as such. So some of the challenges we talk about, again, we kind of covered them when talking about, the pandemic and things that have changed and really needing that ability to gain insight into information and share it. Some of the other challenges that organizations like yourselves might be having in terms of the data is the inability to access real-time data in a self-sufficient way. So providing you with an easy tool to get information regardless of what system it's coming from. Typically that takes reliance on IT if you want to make changes to a report, if you want to pull information on a specific item or invoice. A lot of the time, people are still relying on the IT department to make changes to those reports and give them access to their information, which of course, takes time. It takes time out of the IT, and often it results in, making those decisions late. And again, not being proactive as far as reacting to certain changes in the organization. We also often see the slow performance of current reporting tools. So being able to run a report, within seconds is pretty critical as well. Again, due to that data being received on time to make decisions, but also, as you grow and you gain larger volumes of data, you're processing more transactions, it does become difficult to have those reports running very quickly in some of the legacy tools. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on the SEI side later on. Bringing all of your data sources together can also be a challenge. Nowadays, we see companies who are simply not just using their ERP system. They may have something for payroll or in some other third-party system, even a legacy system that you might still be needing to access for comparative reasons and analysis and things like that. Bringing all of that information together is also quite a task that's usually handled by the IT department as well. Manual stuff. We still see a lot of companies doing things manually in Excel. We all know and love Excel, and there are some options that we'll show you today to improve your reporting within Excel. But when we're doing things manually, it often results in some potential errors and of course missed opportunities due to those potential errors. The last thing I'll talk about is just the need for multiple different tools, which can also be a challenge because then you're left having to maintain and manage all of those tools, teach them to others within the organization. And instead of just having one central repository where everybody's logging into the same system, everybody knows it and is comfortable with it, you might have something for sales and finance, and it becomes a little bit more complicated and a lot to manage. So I know I honed in a lot on some of those challenges and the market trends and reasons why you might be looking for something better and more automated when it comes to the data analysis and reporting side. So we'll take a moment now and we will share a polling question or two, and we would appreciate everybody's participation. So Sophia, if you want to go ahead and engage, let's engage the audience here and see if they're having any challenges today when it comes to reporting. The first question is, are you currently using a business intelligence tool? And I think the second question may pop up at the same time. That question is, what challenges is your organization currently facing regarding data analysis and reporting? So I know there's a few answers that we can select there. We'll give it a couple minutes. Sophia, just let us know when you want to close it up.
Yep, sorry about that. We're getting a few answers in still.
Perfect. I'm curious to know, on the challenges side, is there anything that stands out?
So right now, a lot is difficulty in accessing and analyzing data from multiple sources.
Yep, that makes sense.
Oh, also time-consuming data analysis processes.
Okay, great.
I'll go ahead and share the results.
Oh, there we go. Awesome. So I see that some of you are already using a tool for reporting in BI, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll hone in on some of the specific reasons you might be considering, quote unquote, upgrading your BI a little later. But I definitely think it's interesting in terms of the responses when we talk about accessing data from multiple different sources and consolidating it. That is one of the main challenges, if not the main challenge that we see today with customers who are looking at Sage Enterprise Intelligence or Nectari. So I definitely feel this is in line with some of what we've been seeing for several years now. So I'll pop over to the next slide here. So finding the right BI solution, what is it that you should be looking for? You should be looking for something, of course, that's easy to use, that allows you to share information, and that focuses on key areas of the business as well. Something that delivers reporting on not just finance, but also the other departments and other areas that you need to make decisions in. So whether it's sales, inventory, projects, so on and so forth. Really looking for a solution that will provide you insights across the board and not just for specific departments or specific people. So let's finally get into SEI and Nectari. This is our mission to really empower organizations to get the answers their business needs, again, to make better decisions within their organization. In terms of who we are the developer, of course, as we said earlier, of Sage Enterprise Intelligence, or Nectari, and I'll just quickly explain kind of the differences between those two brandings. So about 10 years ago, we were signed as an OEM solution with Sage and represented our Sage Enterprise Intelligence solution across the globe for a multitude of different product lines. Now, I know today we have Sage X3, we have Sage 100, we have Intact as well. So we are integrated and available for all of those product lines and have several customers, of course, as you can see, over 2,900 customers using the solution today. The one thing I did just want to point out so that nobody's confused about the differentiators, SEI versus Nectari, they are both exactly the same solution. It's just a branding difference with Sage. So for Sage Intact, you'll see Nectari. For Sage X3 and Sage 100, you'll see Sage Enterprise Intelligence. The real difference is in the integration we deliver to customers, meaning that with Nectari, we deliver a pre-built suite of reports based on pre-built data models that are specific to your ERP. So you'd have something different as far as a set of reports if as a Sage 100 customer than you would have for Intact, as an example. And Jasdeep will show that to you so you can gain a better understanding during his demo. So just getting back into SEI and really what it's all about. Again, we talked about the challenges, so I'm sure you won't be surprised that it's all about accessing information and providing organizations an easy way to provide access to others, whether they're more technical users or not. It's based on enterprise-wide data, so not just your ERP, but any source that you might need to access. You can do that quite easily with Nectari or SEI. And we also provide multiple different interfaces with this solution, which is what kind of enables it to be so allows you to be so self-sufficient with it. So we deliver a web interface that's fully HTML5, that's very easy to navigate. It's dragging and dropping things around in terms of the reports. As you'll see, you can really gain access to the information you're looking for to the nth degree of detail. So it really does go to that specific point. And we also deliver the Excel add-in. As we know, Excel is a very powerful tool. Couple that with the features and functions of our solution. And in terms of people who are in the finance department, very comfortable and familiar working within that framework, it's really a nice solution to take a look at and consider. It's all considered part of the same solution, which is Sage Enterprise Intelligence, or Nectari. I talked a little bit about this already in terms of the integration that we deliver. I would say it's probably our biggest value add is the fact that there's no real back work you need to do as a customer implementing the solution. So you don't need to be going behind the scenes and setting up your data connections and things like that. That's already been done for you. You will be delivered with reports, again, specific to your ERP that you can start using upon implementation. In addition, we deliver what's called universal data models, and these are set pre-built dashboards, reports, and preset KPIs that are all based on industry standards. A lot of value there, especially on the financial side. There are things you can do with budgeting and forecasting. There's all of your standard financials that you might need based on the web, so cash flow, income statement, balance sheet, so on and so forth. There's a lot of value there. And the reason we call them universal is because they're open to other sources of data as well. So the ability to connect, to Salesforce, just as an example, we have a connector. So for somebody who's using, Sage Intact and maybe Salesforce, you can pull all of that data together into the same reporting tool. As far as some of our key differentiators, I'll go through this really quickly before I pass it to Jazz. It's really one solution that we're trying to provide. And I said this in the beginning when, you have a solution here for a report, financial reports, something else for sales and dashboards, it becomes a little bit challenging and difficult to maintain and have everybody kind of learning different tools. So we're trying to provide with SEI one solution that covers every base, including every area of the business on the data side, but as well providing a solution that any user can use. So it's simple to learn, it's easy to use, you can navigate very easily through it. In the case of Intact, we also want to deliver access to reports outside of the Sage Intact environment. So as an Intact user, and I'll just speak to that very quickly, you might have the Intact reporting that's contained within Intact. Well, the limitation there is that if you have people outside of the ERP who need to access those reports, they'll need to do so by actually logging in to Sage Intact. Nectari provides the ability to, of course, have that standalone reporting for those people who really need to consume the data, just analyze and report and make decisions off of it. The other thing to mention, you guys said it earlier with your challenges, the ability to connect to multiple different sources. Again, that's something that is very difficult to do with some of the other reporting solutions. And Intact, of course, has that limitation of when you're in the Intact reporting, you're really accessing Sage Intact data. So being able to easily integrate your legacy data or third-party data into the Sage Intact reporting is not a possibility without, a BI solution like Nectari. Now I'm going to speak to the Sage 100 customers on the call. You may be challenged with consolidation. So I know a lot of Sage 100 customers have multiple databases, multi-company setups. It might be a challenge to have that consolidation very easily and quickly within your financial reports. SEI does provide that ability out of the box for Sage 100, so that consolidated environment is already there for you. You can slice into each company that you want to look for. You can see the overall environment. Again, very, very easy to navigate. It's already there for you to use. The Excel add-in is another one. So again, I mentioned that earlier, the power of Excel coupled with the features and functionality of Nectari. It's definitely a favorite amongst the financial people who are very comfortable in that Excel environment. SEI does offer a cloud option, so it's fully web. You can install it on-prem, but for those of us who are thinking long-term in cloud and maybe Sage Intact, it is fully cloud, so that's available as an option as well. It's scalable and it's also future-proof. I do want to just hone in on that before I pass it to Jazz. So when we talk about scalability, we discussed, maybe some slowness in performance of current reporting tools when you're talking about increasing the transaction volume, or you just have, there's a lot of volume in the database. SEI is scalable for any size of customers. So we have very, very small and very, very large customers. So if you're worried about, performance and things like that, there are multiple different tools that we utilize within SEI to help facilitate the improved performance of the reports so that you're not wasting time, sitting there running your reports and waiting for things to populate on the screen. Now, when we talk about future-proof, if you're an organization who's considering potentially, a Sage Intact in the future or a Sage X3, you will not lose anything that you do with SEI today. So everything will follow regardless of which Sage solution you might move to on your journey. So I did want to make that point because you never know, and you don't want to, you want to safeguard your reporting, essentially. You don't want to always start from scratch. So on that note, I've spoken quite a bit. I'm going to pass it over to Jazz now. So he's going to get into a quick 20-minute demo just to show you some of the power, some of the usability, the out-of-the-box reports as well. And then I will take the controls back in just a little bit. So Jazz, you're up.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Olivia. Just confirm if you can see my screen.
I think I may have to stop sharing. Yep, there we go.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone again for joining us today. My name is Jasdeep and I'll walk you through the product demonstration now. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and we will address them towards the end of the presentation. And the first thing I would like to start with is to show you the embeddedness of SEI in multiple platforms. For example, here we have Sage X3 ERP, and we have embedded the SEI dashboard, which is a financial dashboard, CFO, with all the different KPIs, which are all put together using SEI, and something that we are looking at while remaining within the Sage X3 screen. So that's the embeddedness that it comes with the solution, and we can embed multiple dashboards and create multiple tabs for each dashboard like this. What's also nice about these embedded dashboards is that these are not just the images. We can also go and play with the data on these dashboards by applying different filters. For example, I chose fiscal period 6 instead of 4, and then our data changes on the fly based on any of the selections here. Similarly, we can also embed sales dashboards here as well. So this is again an SEI native dashboard where we are now looking at all the different sales KPIs, top 10 products, month-to-month growth, and we can even put our data on Google Maps like this, where we can then zoom into the maps and really go deeper into the regions to see and hover onto these bubbles to see information on the client, the invoice amount, so on and so forth. What's also possible is to embed the entire solution as well, not just the dashboards, but the entire SEI solution. And then we can easily navigate through the different buttons. If it's the dashboards or a specific report that we might want to see, we can easily go and open that report using the navigation here, all while remaining within Sage X3. So, and I must mention that the similar embeddedness is also possible for Sage Intacct as well. And just to keep that in mind, and I just wanted to start on that note to talk about the embeddedness of SEI/Nectari. Now we'll switch on to the main application standalone version of SEI, which was actually embedded within X3 before. And we'll talk about the out-of-the-box templates, the reports which we get with the solution tailored to different ERPs. Here again, for example, we have Sage X3 in the web application of SEI, the web platform. And I must mention that for each specific ERP, which in today's case for you all would be either Sage X3 or Sage 100 or Sage Intacct, we have out-of-the-box templates for each one of these ERP systems. And on top of those tailored templates, for example, here we have Sage X3, which comes with various modules. On top of this, we also have the universal data model, which is running on the cubes, and that therefore allows us to connect to other sources of data as well. So if you are not only using Sage X3, but maybe another third-party system as well, which might be in place, and you're not able to report on that because of the limitations it has when it comes to reporting and analysis, you can bring in the data within SEI or Nectari and then be able to slice and dice on the data and analyze that information as well on top of your existing ERP data. Now, talking about the Sage X3 template, these are all the different modules which we have out-of-the-box reports for, whether it's a finance, logistics, purchasing, sales, all of these are data models which are delivered out of the box, and they further offer various pre-built reports within each module. We'll cover and explore some of these reports today, but I just wanted to quickly also show our Sage 100 clients what do they get out of the box with SEI. So here's the Sage 100 template, which offers us the reports on sales, AP, AR, general ledger, and of course, many reports there is within general ledger, GL Financial, which has reports like income statement, balance sheet, and so on and so forth. And talking about the consolidation, which Olivia highlighted earlier in the presentation, these reports do offer the consolidation. So for example, in this income statement, we have the company code right here in the pivots, which allows us to keep companies side by side and view those transactions by keeping them next to each other. So it's easier to compare the postings. Now, this is a consolidated report since we are able to see both the companies at the same time. We can easily switch from one company to another. Let's say if I choose only ABX, my report will reload to show me only ABX. Or I can always switch to the consolidation to see all the data combined together for each company. So that's again an advantage which SEI does offer when it comes to consolidating the data and seeing all your data in one place. Now let's move on to Nectari for Sage Intacct. Here is an out-of-the-box list of the different reports and data models which are available for Sage Intacct, starting with the general ledger, which offers all kinds of financial reports on GL summary, transactions, so on and so forth, and also more modules like order entry, sales, AP, AR, inventory control, purchasing, so on and so forth. So there's something for each one of you when it comes to the integration that we have with these systems. Now let's further go ahead and somehow into these reports. I will keep my Sage X3 as my main primary platform to show you the different functionalities of SEI and talk about how easy it is to slice and dice on these reports and really customize them the way you want. Here, for example, we have opened a GL transaction detail report. And just to explain you the principle of how these reports work, they're all based on groups, pivots, and columns, the 3 shells that we see here on the top. And there are different fields that we can keep here based on our needs. So here we have fiscal year, fiscal period, and account code as the 3 fields. And that's exactly the same level of drill down that I will be able to do when I come into the groups column here. So we're beginning with the fiscal year, which is the first field. Then I can drill down on fiscal year to see my fiscal periods. Further drilling down on them, I have my account IDs. And then I can further drill this down to see raw level details like document number, the transaction currency, the transaction dates can also be pulled in, and any of your analytical dimensions which you might have defined within ERP, you will be able to see them as well. And along with that, we have all kinds of metrics here, your ledger postings, as well as your transaction postings as well. Now, to slice and dice the data on these reports is really easy. You can keep exactly the fields that you want to see and hover on to the other ones which you might want to remove. So let's say if you want to keep in only our ledger amounts and get rid of the transactions, all we have to do is to simply hover onto them and cross them out. And then our report gets condensed to a few columns like here. I can also easily swap the fields around. So if I want to see the list of account codes in the front, I can change it and swap it with the fiscal year. And then I have the list of all my account IDs. But our data and these dimensions are not limited to what we are seeing in this report. This is the out-of-the-box template, which is delivered to the users. But then they have the ability to go into the toolbar on the right-hand side and go and pick more dimensions and measures from the list provided here. So on the time side, we have the fiscal quarters, accounting dates. We also have the analytical dimensions as defined within Sage X3. And then on the other side, for the measures, we have pre-calculated calculations on the postings, debit, credit, and as well, which we can easily pull into these reports right away.
Hey, Jasdeep, I don't want to interrupt, but we do have a question. Do you have
Sure.
examples of how Nectari can be used with the intact when using grant dimension?
The grant dimension.
Yes.
Right. All right.
That
So
would just the user defined, I don't know what they call them in intact Jazz, but
right. That would be the user defined field, I think, that you must be using the grant for. And it's really as simple as that. For example, here I was showing you the analytical dimension. If I go into my Nectari for Sage Intact data, I can go into one of these reports right here. And here we will see a field which will pull that grant information for me. So here I might not have that information in my demo data set, of course, but you have these user defined fields, up to 20 of them. And this probably must be the one that you must be using for your grant information. So it's all a matter of bringing that field in by simply dragging and dropping it in. I'm not sure if I have any data here. Yeah, so, but that field will include that grant information for you, which you can easily pull into the report.
And I do just want to mention about 50% of our Nectari for intact customers are not-for-profits dealing with reporting on grants. So I did just want to throw that out there as well. But it's a good question.
Exactly. Right, so that was one very simple example I wanted to show on the ease of use. You'd be able to easily drag and drop, slice and dice the data on these reports. And now we can move on to some of the more complex reports as well, which are delivered along with the universal data model, all the industry standard reports, financial statements, which also come with a lot of different KPIs. So here I'm opening another income statement, and we can easily filter on the data using the selection page. Where we can predefine exactly what we want to see in this report as it loads. And then we will have this standard structure of the income statement where I have sales, cost of goods sold, along with the calculations on the gross margin and net income. And then I can continue the drill down based on what fields I have entered here. So from account codes, I can then go all the way to the document numbers and see the posting associated with each document number right here. Then talking about the KPIs, we have, again, the dimensions and measures and the toolbar, which offers us all these different calculations, which are pre-done. So if you want to bring in your year-to-date information, rolling 12, budget versus actual mix, you can easily grab those fields and simply drag and drop them into the report. So for example, if I would like to bring in year-to-date for last year as well, I simply grab that field, and then as a result, I will have a new column added into this report. What you actually see here in the year-to-date column is all the reds. This is in fact a column formatting that you can actually do by defining your own conditions. So if we go into the year-to-date column right here, we have the conditional formatting as an option. And here we can define these rules. For example, for me, I've defined if the amount is less than 0, which means it is negative, I would like to see it with the red color. And that's exactly why we see all the negative figures here highlighted in the red. So you can really set multiple rules like this. You can compare one column against each other as well, using the conditional formatting as an option. Then we also have some of the advanced functionalities which come with the universal data model, for example, financial budgeting and sales forecasting. So within SEI, you can bring in your actual postings from last year, for example, directly from your ERP, and then continue to build a new budget within SEI based on those actual postings. So here's an example of a budget which has been created by month. And just to explain very quickly how the budgets are created within SEI, you can provide a config ID, which is you choosing which dimensions you want to keep in your budget. And that comes with a name. Here I've given the name as budget demo. You can create budget 1 with the revision number 1 and choose from 5 different methods. These are the algorithms which are already put in place within SEI, which help you choose the method. For example, if you want to choose the percentage increase on the last year posting, you define your percent increase. And then for the year which we are creating the budget for, that amount will be calculated by applying a 15% increase on the last year, which will be 2022. So simple as that. And then once that budget is generated, then we have the option to choose a format of the report too. So if I want to see my budget report in the balance sheet format, I simply choose the balance sheet as an option. And then I have my budget worksheet opening for me with my assets, liabilities, stockholders' equity, all lined up here, which I can drill down to different levels of details. And at the same time, see the 15% increase applied on this report already. But what's also interesting about the budget worksheets is that we can go very granular with them by going by each cell and still be able to change the amount on the fly if you need to make any manual tweaks for a specific account code, for example. So you can apply those changes, hit save, and then send these reports, the budget reports, for approval by your managers, by your CFOs or controllers, who will then be able to approve these budgets. And then we can further go into the dashboards and use all kinds of visualizations to compare our actuals versus the budget. We have the out-of-the-box dashboard, which compares the actuals versus budget numbers. And here is an example of that. So here we have our fiscal year 2018, and these visualizations help us view clearly what's the difference of the actuals versus budget looks like based on the budgets that we create within SEI. Some of the other reports which are also there available are AP and AR, which also again come with the out of the box with the universal data model. So these reports are interesting because they offer us the ability to see the data put in separate buckets by timeline. So you can really see your accounts receivable information, for example, from your customers, and you can simply drag your customers ID as a field to the second place, so we can see the list of the customers here. At the same time, use these aging buckets, 1 to 30 days, 31 to 60, so on and so forth, to clearly see which of your customers owe you the payment and how long it has been overdue. So we can easily track the payments using these buckets as well, which can also be customized according to how you have the net payments terms set up for your own business. Coming back to the dashboards, we have a lot of other dashboards as well, not only in the financials, but also on the sales side as well. So we can really choose any one of these to have a look. Let's say sales rep performance, for example, where we have different KPIs comparing sales reps performance. So here we have the information on the top 20 sales reps, top 10 sales by customer, top 10 sales by product. And then we can also use these maps to hover onto the different regions and clearly see what information is being held by them. All right. So that's about mostly what I wanted to show you on the web application, but I must definitely cover one interesting feature, which is the sharing and distribution of these reports, where we can easily, let me quickly bring in my account ID information here. And I can bring in my account ID also in the columns. So then in that case, I have a flat report like this with all the different amounts. And if I want to share this report with my colleagues, I can either export that in a format of my choice, whether it's PDF or Excel, or I can also send a comment on this report by picking a marker and highlighting and making any annotations and sending a direct email to my colleagues from here. We also have the scheduler option as well, which allows us to create reporting packs where we can really choose what reports do we want to keep and send to our colleagues. So you can filter on finance, for example, and see all the financial reports and dashboards and send them directly to your colleagues. So you can set the date and time, say 9 a.m. every Monday and every Wednesday of the week. I would like to receive this reporting back, and then it is sent out based on the schedule. Here's an example of the end result of the reporting pack when it is received in your inbox. So you will have a nice title on the top, followed by the table of contents and a dashboard, and also all your financial statements put together in a neat PDF file, which you will be able to receive on a regular basis. So that covers the sharing and distribution side as well. But I would like to definitely touch upon the second platform of SEI/Nectari, which is the Excel add-in. Here are some of the sample reports that we have to show you, which we have created using the Excel add-in, which covers over 25 different tools which we can use to create these reports while remaining within Microsoft Excel. Please keep in mind that this is exactly the same solution that we saw in the web application. It's the same backbone of the solution, and the only difference is the platform that we are using here. But it offers us the same amount of different fields and data models that we can pull to do these calculations on these reports. For example, income statement right here, we have accounts and then the descriptions pulled directly using one of the tools. There we have data extraction, where I'm bringing in my account IDs as a list by filtering on the sales. So it falls under the sales. And at the same time, I'm also performing calculations for each cell using the tool called Formula Visit, which is again not something that requires of choose the operations and the filters that we want to apply, which we are simply picking from different cells in the spreadsheet. This is exactly how these reports are created. Now, I understand I am limited with the time, but I definitely want to finish off with showing you the web workbooks, which is the recent development from our side to end our attempt to bring in the Excel-like environment within the web application like this one right here. So the web workbooks, as you can see at the very first glance, looks very much similar to Microsoft Excel. However, it is not the same solution. It goes a little bit beyond Microsoft Excel in a way that it can be embedded within the web application and further within any other application as well. So you can see the exact same report either embedded within Sage X3 or Sage Intacct as well, while using all the features that are available to us here when it comes to formatting, adding any of the Excel formulas that we are used to, and be able to drill down to different levels of details to see the accounts. And it also offers our own native tools that we have developed over the time. For example, if I would like to drill down on this amount to see all the transactions that add up to that sum, I can simply click on the tool called drill down and then have my drill down by location and department readily available to me, which matches that amount that we see here in the report. So there are some of the advanced functionalities like that. We can also use the date picker like here to choose a different date and then have our data changing on the fly and show us the transactions for that particular selection by using the calendar. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation and then pass it back to Olivia.
Thank you so much, Jas. I know you had a lot to cover there and
yeah.
kind of scratch the surface. So for anybody who is interested, RKL are more than happy to assist with another more personalized demo. Of course, we're trying to cover all of our bases with the Sage 100, X3, and Intacct today. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen again. Hold on. Just 1 second. You guys see it? We're good, Jazz?
Yes, we are good.
Okay, cool. So we've identified through all of this, and again, talking about the challenges in the beginning that you might be facing when it comes to data analysis and reporting today, we've identified some of the top 5 reasons, or sorry, I should say the top 5 reasons why we believe, it's important to consider how you might be able to improve your reporting, your data analysis and reporting processes with a solution like SEI. So number 1, and again, we answered this earlier, enterprise-wide reporting, the ability to bring all of your data into one place for data analysis and reporting reasons, be able to use information proactively instead of reactively because you're gaining insight into, your intact, your legacy, all of that data coming together. And that leads into the managing more data better as well, in terms of consolidating and really giving yourself, the real version of the truth of what's going on overall in the organization. The user experience as well. We say it's an enhanced user experience and that there's also, the flexibility aspect because there are multiple different platforms that you can decide to report off of, and they are very easy to use for everyone. So as far as the user experience goes, you don't have to be an Excel expert to be able to use the web interface and run reports and modify reports on the web interface. As you saw with Jazz, a lot of reports are already there, they exist, and it's a lot of just drag and drop and very easy kind of navigation. Again, the flexibility to use those multiple different interfaces is there. The sharing of information is there and automated as well. And lastly, I mentioned this earlier, it's scalable and of course, future-proof. So we didn't give too much attention to the Sage 100 customers today. So I did just want to call this out. On the Sage 100 side, there is a tool called Sage Intelligence that some of you may be using today. It's a popular tool in the Sage world, specifically for financial reporting. We do have a conversion tool available for Sage 100. So a very simplified 4-step process to convert your Sage Intelligence reports into Sage Enterprise Intelligence reports. So if you're thinking, I'm a Sage 100 customer, I've been using SI, I've spent a lot of time and money developing these reports in SI, no need to worry, those reports will move across with you. Lastly, we just wanted to include a very quick customer quotation in terms of our customer Hensel. They are a Sage Intacct customer. It's our most recent success story, which is why we included it. So Hensel's accountants save valuable time every month. Their check run process takes only 2 to 3 hours instead of previously an entire day. They can now produce financial reports quickly and efficiently, and their accounts receivable department can manage a much larger workload as the business continues to grow. That quote comes from one of the key users at Hensel, who started using Nectari, of course, for Sage Intacct in this case. But again, just reiterating the time savings and really, the automation that Nectari or SEI can provide to its customers. So I think we'll get into the Q&A. We have about 15 minutes left. So I think, Sophia, unless there's any other questions in the chat, we can open up the floor to any other questions.
Yeah, so we actually do just have a couple questions for right now. So how does Nectari differentiate itself from existing solutions in the market?
I think the main differentiator is the integration. So we are really Sage focused. We are a solution that is our business is Sage. So we aim to deliver to Sage customers the utmost value with the integration and the reports that come with the solution. So when you're a Sage user looking for a BI, you can start using a solution like Nectari or SEI, and you have the integration that's pre-done and all of those reports like Jazz showed today ready to use. So in terms of the differentiators, I would say that's probably the key one. We also have the multiple interfaces, which a lot of the times you have solutions, just to call them out, like a Power BI that's fully web. There's no Excel I won't say there's no Excel component, but it's definitely not like ours in terms of, what you can do on the Excel side of things. The budgeting and forecasting, we're not a budgeting and forecasting tool, but what Jazz showed is that there are some capabilities there. So especially for customers who are doing things manually today in Excel when it comes to budgeting and forecasting, which a lot of them still are, SEI/Nectari could be a really nice next step in terms of automating that process a little bit further. That's not something that your typical BI would provide. Last but not least, the ability to easily connect to all of the data sources. We have many different pre-built connectors, but overall, it's quite easy to bring in any source of data for reporting reasons. So that's just some of the points. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And we have another one. So what effort is required before a UDM can be used?
It is a mapping of the GL on the financial side. So we need the GL account mapping information. It actually can be done by customers as well. So it would be either RKL or yourself, and that's pretty much it. That's how the setup works. And one thing to mention, actually, in case anybody on this call doesn't know, is RKL is actually one of, if not one of our top partners, I should say, with SEI and Nectari. So you have a few people at RKL who sometimes I say might know the solution even better than we do sometimes. So I did just want to call that out. So in terms of, setup, implementation, any specific questions you might have, you have a team of experts with RKL. So
yes, awesome. And another one. So what does Nectari cost?
What does that's the $1 million question. So it all depends. Nectari starts, we have different components. It starts for 1,200 USD per year, and that includes one full user. And I'll just explain that very quickly. So we have two types of users with Nectari or SEI. A full user is somebody who is a power user, an admin, somebody who can basically take on everything that Jazz showed you today in the demo. So, modifying reports, but also might be somebody who's setting up security. So everything A to Z. A viewer is the second type of user, and that's somebody who's really a consumer of the data. So somebody who's logging on can still slice and dice a little bit, but they can't save any changes they've made to reports or create any new reports themselves. So those are the two types of users. They apply to both the web and the Excel add-in, and they are concurrent users. So with the base package of SEI, you're getting, of course, everything that Jazz presented in terms of the out-of-the-box reports, the integration. You're also getting one full concurrent user of the software, so you can start, of course, using the software. After that, you can decide how many full users and how many viewer users you'd like to add. And there are also a couple of add-ons as well in terms of the modules. So we have the distribution module, which is the sharing of the reports. I believe that's an additional $900 a year, but a lot of value there because it enables you to share information with a large group of people without having to, be manual and repetitively sending out different emails to different people. It's all done through security as well. So it's a really big value add in terms of sharing data. We also have for the Sage 100 customers who need to consolidate their multiple databases or environments or companies, a consolidation module that's also around $900 per year. And there are a few other modules that I won't get into detail on, but really the base package, again, $1,200 per year, plus the cloud hosting if you are an Intact customer or a customer who just wants to go cloud, and that starts around $600 per year. So a lot of info there, but.
And I think we just have one more. I think we touched a little bit on this, but how can I schedule a follow-up demo?
Yeah, so I believe we have one final polling question that will basically just ask you if you'd like to schedule a follow-up call or demo. So as soon as we have the answers, the responses, you'll definitely expect to hear from us and or RKL to schedule a follow-up, and we're more than happy to cater a demo that's more specific to your needs. So if there's something very specific that you're looking to accomplish, there's a sample report you'd like to share, can we do this in Nectari? We'll be more than happy to customize something and show it to you in a demonstration.
Yes, and right before we get to that poll, we do have actually a last minute question here. How do you handle implementation and training? Implementation and training is actually all handled through RKL.
So again, you have a team of experts there who actually, there's a couple of them who basically do this day in and day out with Nectari or SEI. So they would help you out on the implementation. Just to give you a rough idea, the installation and setup is about a day, a little bit less for cloud. And the training really depends on the level of user you want to be. So are you more of an end user? You need to have the end user and admin training, which is about 2 days. If you want to go beyond and be able to create new data models and get a little bit more technical, a little bit deeper on the back end side, that would require some additional training. We also have an e-learning program. We deliver some e-learning accounts when customers purchase Nectari or SEI for you to rely on, but I always emphasize the importance of training with an instructor, at least on the end user and admin side.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, so I can start that poll right here about scheduling a demo. Awesome.
I hope everybody said yes. We won't put anybody on the spot though.
Okay, so I think that's all we have. Anything else, Olivia, Jazz?
All good from my side.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm sorry if we went a little bit fast and if I was a little bit off. I'm usually a lot more excited, got a little bit of jet lag today, but I'm hoping that everybody saw value and looking forward to hopefully some follow-ups. So thank you for.
Yes, thank you all again for attending today's webinar. Thank you, Olivia, Jasdeep, and everybody at Nectari for presenting. Our next webinar in the summer series is DocLink with essential steps for going paperless in accounts payable on Wednesday, August 23rd, and we hope to see you then. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.